Welcome to today's TME C training. Before you start the training, we would actually like to check with everyone if you all can actually use the licenses. And also at the same time, have you downloaded the drawings? To those who haven't downloaded the drawings, it is actually sent over to you via email. So you can actually check your email to look for the link to download the drawings. Otherwise, you can just go into the chat box and look for my brother Sam. He has included the installer and material inside there if you have download. Well, I think we give it another 10 to 15 minutes for everyone to settle down with licenses and everything. So anyone has any issues with the software so far? No, everyone can open, right? Okay, what about others? Hong Ling, I think you won't be able to open the software because your license is actually binded to another account. So you may need your email to do another one. Hong Ling, wait one moment. We will assign the license to you shortly. And after that, you can check your email to see whether you receive any notification from Golden or not. A moment, yeah. At the same time, have you all downloaded the software? Anyone that hasn't installed the software? One moment. You can't log into your account. Okay, what does it say when you try to log into your account? Does it say like wrong email, wrong password, or is that your account has not been activated, things like that? Anyone else having licensing issue can open the software. Hong Ling, you can check your junk. Usually it's at the junk mail. Right, for Nguyen, I think you're supposed to be using the landing code. It's supposed to look like this. Right, you're supposed to key in your landing code under your certificate license. Have you received a landing code from your email? You should be able to receive a landing code from your email. The landing code has been sent to your email, and you can try and see if you have received the email. If it is not inside your inbox, you can check inside your junk box or your spam mail. Okay, to those who did not receive the code, right, you need to check your junk mail. So for Evelyn, have you checked your email under the spam or the junk box? You should go to your junk mail and you should receive an email from Golden. So usually our automated email will go into junk box or junk mail. Evelyn, are you there? Yeah. Have you checked your email for the junk mail site there? If not, we will send you another email for the code. Okay, cool. So, all right, I think we should be able to, okay, not the code inside. You have product permission. Okay, hold on. My colleague will send another email to you. In the meantime, has everybody downloaded the installer and the material? For those who haven't, you can actually download it. Alright, to those who haven't, you can actually go to the installer and material over here. I think we should start in less than 5 minutes. Hi Lee, hold on, let me check for you. Do you receive any landing code? Because this one you should use landing code. Okay, Eileen got it. What about Lee? Have you checked your email to look for a landing code? Right. Again, if it is not inside your inbox, you can actually look for it inside your junk mail or your spam mail. Are you able to enter, Lee? Okay, if you're not saying anything, I would assume that you are able to open the software already. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's get on with the training. Right, before we go to the training, I would like to introduce myself. Sorry, I couldn't find from my email. Okay, have you searched inside your spam or your junk mail? check, but can okay, never mind. I'll ask my colleague to send another email to you shortly.
Đi đưa xe máy Dương hả?
All right, welcome to today's TMEC Basic Training. So in today's training, we won't be going into too deep or too complex type of contents. But before we go into the training, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Keen. I'll be your trainer here today. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask inside the chat box. And if I'm not able to answer you live, I'll have my colleague there to type it out for you. The basic content of the training is that I'm going to teach you how to move around the software, hover around your mouse, press around the buttons, look into things that you haven't seen before. If you have used TS and TRB, you would find the software actually quite familiar. And those who have used TME 2018 would also find the software very familiar. Right? Okay, right. Let's continue with the training. Now, in today's training, we have two parts. The first one, we'll be talking about the overview. Basically speaking, we're going to go through one by one the introduction, the creation of the projects, how to actually draw your model, how to get your quantity, how to split your quantity. That will be in the first part. And the second half, we'll be going into more detailed modeling, which is plumbing and sanitary, ACMV, electrical walkthrough, right? Actually, yeah, if you want a slide, I can send the slides over to you later through email, along with the recording, of course. Right, so no worries, you can actually refer back to the slides later after the training if you cannot remember how to actually work around with the software. Right? Okay, now let's go into the introduction. Now, TMEC is basically an M&E quantity taking off software where most of the MEP consultants or contractor would be using to do their taking off. Right, especially when you're dealing with consultants, contractor, either way. If both of you are actually using TME, it would be easy to liaise with each other. Right? After that, before you go into real detailed measurement or beam taking off, we'll learn to do a little bit of explanation about traditional taking off and also beam taking off. As you all know, I mean, at this point of time, you already know that when you do measurement, it's either you use your own CAD file and then you measure the length one by one and you label it inside your Excel file, or you do it inside a piece of paper, taking off at least a sheet, which is not possible. I mean, we don't want to do that anymore because nowadays we want to go green for starters. We want to go green and we want to minimize using papers and all these manual measurements like scale rulers, highlighter pens, pencil, and drawing papers, right? Where if you are using a BIM software, everything is compiled within that particular software, even the drawings itself. So in TMEC, you will be seeing ACMV, electrical, plumbing, and sanitary, and we will have actually one more fire services coming in pretty soon, probably around August or September, around there. I can't promise you, but it's around that, right? Right. Then after that, I want to talk about the overall process step. This is just a general overview. Later, I'll walk you through how to actually create your project and everything, right? So the first thing we want to do is always to create a new project. Then after that, we want to do your floor settings, create floors, floor heights, floor elevations. All these will actually affect your measurement, especially for vertical elements of your pipings. Then we have import drawing, quantity taking off, and we have view quantity as well. Now, how many of you have actually used TME 2018? Anyone used TME 2018 before? Or are you completely new to the software? New. What about others? Everyone new? Yeah, new. Okay, cool. right? So in the older versions, we made a lot of improvement on the interface, so that it's easier for you to read out and to understand, especially when we put in those small icons inside. It makes it easier for you to understand what are you actually measuring, right? So if this is new to you, let me introduce to you our interface of what you'll be dealing with later. First, we have the ribbon tab. The ribbon tab is for you to select on your project settings, right? To click on your drawing tab, on your quantity tab. One moment. Okay, we have this ribbon tab which consists of project settings, beam model, identify and draw, view, quantity, and addendum. Then we also have, we have used the 2018 with fire protection system. Then I would say that you'll find a little bit of similarity between this TME 2018 and TMEC, especially the names and probably the words that they use inside there, right? So after the ribbon tab, then we move into the next one, which is the element navigation. Right, this is the module navigation. So just now, remember I mentioned that we have 3 types. We actually have plumbing and sanitary, electrical, air conditioning, and mechanical ventilation. So we'll be working on all 3 of these. It's not difficult. Basically, the usage is roughly around the same, just the categorization is slightly different over there. Then after that, we have element list. Let's say if you're working on our plumbing and sanitary over here, we actually have an element list for this particular sanitary, right? So if you click onto sanitary wares, then you will have different elements over here which you can create new, or you can use the existing one that has already been made for you, right? Module over here, you will actually create a list of the elements, and each and every one of the elements will actually have its own attributes. For example, if I select my floor-mounted wash basin, I will have information on my floor-mounted wash basin under the attributes editor, which you can amend and change for your measurements later. Then after that, we have drawing manager, where you actually play around with your drawings, adjust your drawings, so on and so forth. And then we have layer manager, similar to drawing manager, but a more detailed function for you to actually adjust the drawings, especially about layerings. Then we have drawing area. Your models that you have created will be shown inside this drawing area. Last but not least, the status bar. So the status bar is actually very important because it actually gives you the steps flow of what you should do next if you cannot remember. So you can actually try to play around with this as well. Now, let's go into something more detailed. Elements and entities. Remember just now, when I show you the part at the back here, element list, you can actually create your element list. After creating your element list over here, then when you point it onto your work plane or your modeling plane, you will actually see all this information, and all this information will be parked under entities, right? So technically speaking, elements are items that you have created but have not been placed inside the model. It's just items that you have created so that you can use it and you can point it into your model. So once you start pointing all these elements into your model, then we start calling them entities. They are no longer elements but entities, right? So some of these entities will have their own specifications. So what kind of elements do we actually have? We have legend, we have linear elements, we have others, right? So basically speaking, if you want to make it put it in simple words, legend actually means for enumerated quantities, right? For linear, it actually means for quantities in meter run. And also we have others. Actually, basically speaking, others is under legend here because it's enumerated as well. But we split it up because these pipe fittings are actually automatically generated when 2 pipes are linked together or when 2 pipes actually intersects with each other. right? Okay, so far up to this stage, can everybody understand? Does anyone have any questions for the introduction? Any part of the introduction can you not, if there is any certain part that you do not understand on the introduction, you can let me know, because we will be moving into using the software already. All right, can understand, yeah? If you cannot understand, please put inside the chat box. I will try to repeat again. Okay, cool. All right, so the very basic steps of creating a new project is to click on create new project. And then after that, you have to go into floor settings and then drawing management, right? So we can actually open up TME. So can everyone try to open up TME first? Once you have opened up TME, you can put a done inside the chat box, and I'll proceed to the next step. Done, yeah? Okay, so basically we have slides to teach you how to create new projects and everything, but I'm going to just show you directly inside the software. So if you have anything that you want to learn directly from the slides, you can actually refer back to the slides. And then after that, you can learn from there, right? So if you have used TAS or TRB or any of our software, you will find this interface slightly familiar, right? Otherwise, to those who are completely new to the software, you can actually just click on new, press on new over here, and then you can create your new project. Let's call it TMEC 2022 training, right? So once I place my project name, I can actually choose what kind of project major do I have or do I want to include in this particular training. For example, plumbing and sanitary, electrical, air conditioning and mechanical ventilation. For example, if you're only working on plumbing and sanitary, and there is no need for you to work on electrical and ACMD, you can actually turn them off. But most of the time, I would just leave them off because I need them to be together within the software. Right? So once you have selected your project major, just press OK. And the software will actually create a new project file for you. Right? So after you have created a new project file, right? After you have created a new project file, first thing first, we always want to play around with the floor settings, other project settings. We need to do all these settings first in the very beginning, because if you immediately move into quantification, you will have trouble with actually adjusting the floors and everything later, because the software will take some time to adjust the floor if you already have entities placed inside your model, right? So always remember to go to your project settings, head into your floor settings, and adjust your floors first, right? Make sure you insert the right amount of floors. Once you've insert all your floors inside here already, right, then you can actually adjust the floor height. Let's say if my current floor height is 3.5, I'll just change it to 3.5. And you will also notice the bottom elevation changing according to your floor height. Also, let's say if you have a particular bottom elevation that you want to follow, maybe from your drawings it says 83.5, you can actually just key it in 83.5 over here. The software will automatically do calculations for you, right? So actually it depends on whether you want to key in the bottom elevation or not, but most of the time usually I will just follow my elevation drawing. Otherwise, you can actually leave it to 0. Right, I got one question from Sophia King. Is it from FFL to slab or to ceiling? Well, this is actually floor to floor level. So usually for the bottom elevation, I will actually place my structural floor level, or it depends on your drawing as well. So let's say if you have any drawing shows that each floor starts from FFL instead of SFL, you can actually use the FFL, right? It depends on situation, depending on your drawings. So it's very hard for me to explain whether you should use FFL or to slab or to use structure. Depends on the drawing. Okay, so up to this part, are you guys able to follow? We can insert floors, right? We can insert floors, change the names, insert the floor height, play around with the bottom elevation. Is everyone okay so far? Okay, yeah. All right, cool. And also one last thing, you will need to remember to always leave this reference floor. This is actually called reference floor, right? You want to leave it at the first floor because it's actually a reference for your ground floor, right? If I put it at third floor, you will see that the code shows negative and everything here will turn into basement instead, right? Because it's actually a reference for your ground floor. So we want this to be my ground floor, so I need to reference it as a ground floor. Ground floor, I need to mark it over here. All right. Okay. Pretty much that's all for floor settings. So you don't have to worry so much, right? Once we're done with floor settings, right, you can actually see we have a step-by-step info over here which you can use and refer to later on, right? So once we are done with our floor settings, then we can go into drawing management. Drawing management is more specific, where we need to import drawings inside, like change your information on the drawings, adjust here and there, right? So here we have 3 types of drawing that we actually support. The first one is CAD drawing, second one is vector drawing, the third one would be your scan drawing. Right, so we are able to import any of these 3 drawings inside the software. So later I'll show you how you can actually do that. Now, it is actually very easy for you to import your drawing. You just need to remember these 3 steps, right? You need to activate your drawing manager, open up your drawing manager. Once you have opened up your drawing manager already, you can see over here, this was actually the drawing manager. Once you've opened this up, then you can actually add drawings. You can add your drawing. You can locate or relocate your drawing. You can scale your drawing. You can split your drawing. You can even delete your drawing. Right? So the drawing manager allows you to do editing to your drawing. And last but not least, we want to always scale the drawing. You need to make sure that the scale is always correct so that you don't actually measure wrongly. Right? Later I'll show you why I say you need to scale the drawing. Okay. So again, there are step-by-step functions inside over here, but I'll just directly show you through the software, right? So when you want to deal with the drawing management, the first thing that we always want to do is we need to open up the drawing manager, or we can actually go into identify and draw tab. This is where you can actually find the drawing manager over here. Or you can also use the existing drawing manager that has already been opened at the right side here, right? You can actually import your drawing over here, or you can just import it directly on the right side here. So I'll be opening up one of the drawings. So let's use drawing management. And then the first thing we want to do is we want to scale and merge. Right, this one will be my first drawing. So notice how I have my drawing over here, but it's actually very small. And you can see that we have a red box, right, with some information length here. So this red box is actually a ruler for you to search for a point, and after that, when you want to merge your drawing, when you want to align your drawing floor to floor, you can actually use this function, right? So what we're going to do here is that we want to rescale this drawing. But before we rescale, let me show you how to actually check the scale of the drawing. If you notice under this identify and draw tab, we actually have a tool or a measuring function that you can use over here. Similar to AutoCAD, you can actually measure this tool over here, from here until here. And then you will notice that the scale is totally off, right? So you want to get this scale right, we can actually go and click on this button over here, scale drawing. If you're not too sure what all these icon means, you just hover your mouse over it and then wait for it to prompt the message box, right? So I want to scale my drawing. And then if you forget how the scaling actually works, you can read at the bottom. There is a toolbar over here for you to read. right? Select area to scale, right click confirm, right click to directly scale the whole cat drawing. So now I want to scale the entire cat drawing over here, right? So I can just right click, and I can just zoom in, and then I can pick one point from here until here and change it to 6600. Right? So the drawing will be scaled. Now let's do that one more time. Let's do that one more time. I'll re-import the drawing inside. Right, I want to rescale the drawing. I need to check the distance. Once I've checked the distance, I realize that it's not 6600. Okay, just close that. And then I can actually just click on scale, right click to confirm, scale these two parts, right left click from one end to the other end, and then after that just press 660. Again, if you can't remember what to do, you can read at the bottom over here. It will actually show you or tell you what to do. Right, then after that just press OK. And it will actually scale your drawing up to this stage. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to import my other drawing. I want to import my other drawing inside. Click on the add drawing, and I want to add part 2 of my drawing. When I click on part 2 and open up part 2, right, you can see I have 2 drawings over here. Right, so now I want to insert my drawing inside together. So what I can do is this. You can sometimes import both drawings in together also, like this, right? And it will actually show you the splitting of the drawings. Right, so once I add my part 2 drawing inside, you can see that it's actually very small, right? How to actually do that? Let me show you again. Okay, let me show you again. You can just click on the button here. And there is a small button for you to click. This is and merge them together, right? So I can just click on this button here, on this small button, and then press on part 2. So once you have done that, you can see that there is actually a very small drawing on the side. So it's actually the continuation of part 1 drawing, which we want to combine them later. So what I usually do is I scale the drawing first, rescale the drawing, right? Similar to what we did just now. You can just click on the scale button, and you can select the drawing over here, like highlight the entire drawing over here. Don't right click, because when you right click, it will select all the drawings which will be wrong. So you just want to select the drawing and rescale it over here. And then you can zoom in. Right, let's scale from here, right? So I'm going to select from this point. I'm going to select from this point until this point. I'm going to put 6600 and press OK. So now you have 2 drawings side by side. But here comes the problem. How do we actually merge this drawing and put it together? So this is why we actually have the grid lines from the drawing, which will actually help us combine these 2 together. But first, let us delete the lines over here first, because it's a little bit annoying. Right, you want to delete the lines over here first. You can click on delete, and you can just select the lines, right? So what I would do, press delete, highlight the bottom title block first, and click on these 2 lines over here, right click to delete it. Right, again, let me show you one more time. click on delete, and then if you still cannot remember what to do next, you can read at the bottom, left click or drag select entities, right click to confirm, right? So I'm going to highlight these items over here, right click, then I can select on these two items also, right click, and the drawing will be missing, right? So once we have done that, the next thing we can do right now is to actually relocate the drawing, place it side by side together. But before we do that, we need to know which point we need to capture to do that, right? So now I have H over here. Let's say I have H over here, my grid line H and 25, and I also want to use grid line H and 25 over here. Right, so what I can do is, I can actually click on the locate button, right? I can select the drawings first and then relocate. Relocate the button. You can use H here, then you can move it over to the other side. Right, once you merge this together, you can see that it becomes a single drawing. Right, again, let me show you one more time how to do it. You can undo. It's just like Excel, you can press Ctrl and Z to undo. Right, you can click on the move button. Right, you can click on the move button over here, select the drawing, right click, press on this point over here, shift it all the way down to H, and then you can see that the drawing is actually merged together. Right, so this will become one drawing. Right, so okay, once we have done that already, you will understand the purpose of actually moving, relocating, and why we need to have this point over here, right? So usually what I do is that I want to move this drawing onto one location that follows this point, right? The reason why I want to do that is because maybe this is my first floor and I have another second floor. So I need to align those floors together. So we need some sort of ruler to do that, right? So usually I will just click on this relocate button right at the top here. When you click on the relocate button, it allows you to relocate the entire drawing. Oops. This is the relocate button. Right, you have a relocate button, you click on this relocate button, and then you just press here, and you shift it to your grid line. So let's say if I have another drawing, if I import another drawing for second floor, third floor, and fifth floor, I can directly align those drawings together following this particular grid line. Right? So once we have done that already, then we can actually have a full drawing over here, which is complete. Now, let me show you the entire process one more time to make it easier for you to understand so you don't miss out anything. Let me delete the drawing. First, we import the drawing inside, part 1. Right, we import the drawing inside. The next thing I want to do is measure the distance to check to see if the scale is correct, but with one glance, you know that the distance is actually wrong already. So most of the time, we need to rescale the drawings, right? So you can click on scale, and then you can right click, and then you can directly scale from here to 6600, and press OK. So once you have done that, you can import the second drawing inside by clicking onto this small button, clicking onto this info over here, and then import in your part 2, and press OK. And then you can see the small drawing on the right beside it. So once you have done that, then you can scale this drawing again by clicking on the scale button. Don't right click, because if you right click, it's going to select all the drawings, which is wrong. So we only want this part of the drawings, right? So we just highlight this part of the drawings, right click, and then you just rescale it from here until here, and you got 6600. Press OK, and the drawings will automatically be scaled. Then after that, we need to delete all those unnecessary lines here, right? And we need to delete these two lines as well. Once we have done that, then we can actually start moving, relocating the drawing by clicking on this move. Select the entire drawing here. Right click. Click on this grid line because we want to align this H grid line with this H over here. So we need to align this grid line together by moving it over. H. So once you have done that, now you have your drawings aligned together. Right? But that said, you need to actually move it to your existing grid line that is automatically generated also, so you can align your drawings properly. Right? So you can actually press on the relocate button over here. You can just move it over. So this is how you actually adjust your drawings. So if you forget the steps, don't worry, you can actually refer back to the slides. It will teach you step by step how to actually import drawings, right? How to scale the drawings. And at the same time, once you have done that already, then you can go directly to your merging, right? Also, don't forget that you actually have to switch your floors. You need to switch your floors when you're dealing with different modeling, right? But for when you're dealing with drawings, it's okay to place it under the same floor because it will open up for different floors. For example, let's say if I'm in my first floor now, I'll open up my second floor. Then I need to make sure that my models are the same. So that's why I need to make sure, let's say if I'm working on my first floor, I need to be at my first floor, right? There's a difference over here. There is a small difference over here that you may need to know. So the difference is this. This one is for you to switch tab of your modeling floor. On the right side here, if you see your own floor levels, it's actually for your drawings only, which won't affect your modeling, right? So you need to make sure that you are aware of floor tabs. If you are working on first floor, make sure you're in first floor. If you're working on second floor, make sure you're in second floor. But for drawing wise, you can use it at any floor, so it doesn't matter, right? So we have done merging. Just now I've already shown you how to merge two drawings together. We have also done split and locating the drawing. Now, same like what I mentioned just now, is for you to align drawings for different floors. You can see over here, let's say if this is one floor, this is my second floor, this is my third floor. I want to align these three drawings together, which is where we have over here the grid line. This actually helps, right? So now we want to do the next, we want to go into the next function, which is split and locate drawing. Now, splitting and locating drawing is usually for when you have one drawings and you have multiple floors inside. So you want to split those floors, right? So remember just now when we talked about this purpose of having the grid line. Now, let me show you what's the purpose of splitting and locating the drawings, right? We can actually import the drawings in. So you can actually open up split and locate. And then we have this drawing. Open this up. And I'll open up this model. You can see that I actually have multiple floors inside here. Right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the thing about this is that if you model each and every one of your elements or your entities inside separately without splitting and aligning the drawings together, you will have your measurements all around and everything will be part of the first floor, which is very messy, right? So we don't want that to happen. So now what we need to do is we actually need to split this drawing out. So how do you actually split the drawing out? There is actually, you can click on the button over here to split the drawing. If you can't remember where the button is, you can just hover your mouse over, check, right? So this is split. I want to split this drawing out. I'm going to split this drawing out by highlighting this entire drawing. And you can see that it turns into a yellow box. Just right click. And then it will ask you to input the drawing name. You can choose to actually type it in yourself, or you can actually just click on the name here, the button here. Right, so when you click, you can see the name actually goes up. So let me show you again how to actually split a floor, right? Just click on this split button, select the floor, right click, zoom into the name or the title block here, left click on it, press OK, and then you have two separate floors. Right? So this one is the main drawing, so it will show you all the floors. This one is the main drawing, it will show you all the floors. But after you have split the drawing already, once you have split the drawing already, you can actually select them individually. Right? But still, these floors are not aligned together. We need to move all these floors into our grid line that is automatically generated here. Right? So you can actually select a point of your liking. Let's say I usually take the point I like at the bottom over here. Right? So if I want to relocate, I can press on my relocate button. And then let's say if it's very difficult for me to find the intersection point of my line, right? You can consider using this function, intersection. Right? Intersection means that you're actually selecting two lines that whenever these two lines touch each other, that will be the point of your relocation. For example, if I click intersection now, I can choose on this particular line, and I can also choose on this particular line, which is A. And then you can see that it's actually taking this point over here, move around my drawing. So I'm going to shift it over to my grid lines here. Right, so my drawings will automatically be moved over here. Now, let me show you one more time how to actually do that with my second drawing. Right, so the second drawing is still not aligned. Again, what I need to do is just click on relocate. You can either choose the point manually like that, but it's a bit difficult because you can see all the lines moving against each other, moving around each other. So the next thing I want to do right now is I can click intersection. At the bottom status bar, if you have something called intersection, just click on that, select these two lines. You can see, once I select these two lines, an intersection will be formed at the bottom over here. So I'm going to click on this line, and you can see the intersection. You just need to left click on these two lines, and then you automatically allow you to relocate the drawing from that point. So now you have two drawings that is aligned with each other. Right? So you can refer back to the slides to see how to actually relocate the drawings. Right? Now, after that, we move on to the next section, which is height. Don't worry, we will have actually a practice session later for you, like a 10 minutes practice session for you to try all this out. So if you forget, you can let me know, then I'll show you it, right? Okay, now let's move into 3.7, which is how to actually hide and to show your drawings. Now, why do we actually need to use this function? Because technically speaking, when you have drawings like that, you have walls, you have so many unnecessary lines which is blocking your view, can be very irritating sometimes. So I'll be showing you how to actually hide those lines so that you can actually do your measurement better, right? So the very steps of doing that is very easy. You need to activate by selecting the color or layer. If you're using CAD drawings, you can use layer. But if you're dealing with what do you call that? If you're dealing with all those PDF drawings, then you may need to use by color. Then inside your drawing, you can select multiple colors. If it's not just one color, you can select multiple colors to hide. Then you can just right click on it to confirm that those are the layers that you want to select. Then after that, you can click on hide selection or to display the selection. Right, so let me show you how to actually do that inside the software. So first, I want to import back the drawing inside. We're going to import a drawing inside, right? Now, so let's say I use a drawing from plumbing and sanitary, for example. I'm going to use a drawing from plumbing and sanitary. So let's say I have information over here, you can see that I have different colors that I need to check. But then all these brick walls, all these other items over here, not relevant. It's a bit disturbing because it's going across each other, right? So what I can do over here is that I can actually click select by color, or you can choose select by layer. In this case, I'm going to select by color because I don't need all these gray lines, right? I don't need all these gray lines. So I'm just going to click on this gray line. You can see that it highlights everything. Highlights everything. Then just right click. Right click means I have already selected my gray line, right? Selected my gray line. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to hide my entity. So I'm going to click on this hide button. So once I click on the hide button, you can see that it disappears, and now you can see your plumbing, the pipelines easily. Right? You can see your pipelines easily, but then you didn't hide the label because you need the label to actually do your piping. Right? So this is actually how you can actually hide your quantities, the CAD drawings. Right? So in the event that you need to restore back these drawings, right, you can actually just press F7 on your keyboard. You can click on F7 to restore them. So I'm just going to press F7 and my drawings will automatically be restored. So let me show you again how you can actually hide these drawings. Select by color, click on the non-desirable color, and then after that right click and then press hide CAD entities. Right, you have to be very careful because sometimes when you use color, right, you also hide certain elements that you may need. For example, if you are dealing with sanitary, right, you actually accidentally hide your sanitary also. So sometimes if you don't want to use color, you can also try to use layer. You can click on layer and you can hide the lines. For example, all these lines over here. You can hide all these non-relevant lines. Doors also we don't need. Columns we don't need. All these we don't need. Okay, once we are already ready, we have already selected all these lines, right? We can actually hide them by right-clicking. Right, we can right-click, and we can click on hide entity. Of course, if you click by layer, it's not going to be as perfect as color because color will choose everything that's gray. But if you click on layer, it will choose based on that CAD layer's name, right? So you can choose which one you want to use. It's up to you. But I would like to maintain my sanitary fitting so I don't miss out any of these items with that. So this is practically how you use your hide and display selection. So again, if you forget, you can always refer back to the slides. You can actually see how you can use this function over here, right? Now, just now I already told you, you have to remember that the hidden function or the hidden, I would say, keyboard shortcut would be F7 to restore all the CAD that you have hidden just now, right? Now, we have come to the end of drawing management. Let's take a 10 minutes exercise session for you to play around with the software, right? I want you to try to add drawings, merge drawings, scale drawing, split and locate the drawing, hide and unhide the drawing. Don't worry, it may be difficult to you right now, but I will also show you, I will also be performing the same steps from the beginning until the end so you can try to follow, right? Okay, if those of you cannot actually use or don't know how to do it, if you forget, you can put inside the chat box and I'll show you the exact steps of how to work with that within these 10 minutes. We will be working on this from 10:30 until 10:40. Is that all right with everyone? Okay, just give it a try. If any certain part that you cannot remember, you don't know how it works, please let me know. I will try to save this file as PDF and send it over inside the chat box. If you want to use as reference. One moment. Okay, I have already sent the basic PDF inside already. You can refer to the PDF. The numerated items one by one. But most of the time, we will use identify function. So device is a function that's specifically used for legends or those icons that does not have any label on it, right? So if you have any label on it, you can actually there is another device plus text one. So if you see that, then you can actually use that. But most of the time, you can just use device, right? Or if you are using a scan PDF or scan drawing, you can actually use scan device also. So you can use either device or scan device to measure. So let me show you an example how to actually do that, right? So a very quick one. Now, let's say I have some basin over here, right? For example, maybe I want to identify this basin. So I'm going to go into sanitary wares. Under sanitary wares here, we can actually click on this button, device. Once you click on device and you don't know what to do next, you can read at the bottom, left click or drag, select the device item. And then after that, right click to confirm or to escape. Right? You can just highlight this device over here. Make sure you don't pick any other items. For example, these items, right? I don't need all this. I just want the device that is related, which is this basin. So once I've already selected all these important things that I need, for example, the outer line over here, I can just right click. And then you will automatically be captured as your device. Then if you don't have any text, right, you can just leave it be. You can click on find all. But if you have a text, you can just pick text. You can select the B, right click, and then you can click find all also. And then you can see that it says over here you have 5 numbers. Right, you have 5 numbers. Once you confirm already, then you can click on identify. So it's really that easy, right? So let me show you again. Let's say, for example, now you can see that this is actually, it's very hard for you to see. You can't see whether you have picked it or not, right? In TMEC, we have a very special functions which you can use is to actually dim the lights off. You can actually dim the light, you can reduce the lighting, right, of the drawing. Then you can actually see that, oh, I actually have a few items here, right? So I'm going to increase the brightness again and show you how it works. So you can look at the brightness at the bottom here, just reduce it. You want to put it to the lowest, you want to put it to 50%, also can. Then you can see that there is a wash basin over here. So let's try that again for your WC, right? Let's say if I have a WC over here, same thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose my sitting toilet, device, pick my device, and then select the WC over here. Make sure only the WC lines are selected and not other lines. Once you have confirmed, you can right click, you can pick the text, WC, right click and press Final. And you can see that all the WC will be selected. Once you confirm, just press Identify. Then you have 4 devices. Again, you can reduce the dimness to actually check. Right, so these are the items that has been picked. So again, if you don't understand, there is 2 types. Device is just legend. Device plus text is that you have the device and you have the text together. Right? Sometimes if you don't have text, you just have the legend, right? You can just select the legend and after that you just identify them. Now, these are the steps that I've already showed you just now. You can actually refer back to the slides to learn how to use it one by one, step by step. Right? So the rule of thumb of using this function is this. So if let's say you have a few multiple complex symbol, for example, over here you can see they are all using the same type of symbol, except that for each symbol it gets simpler and simpler, right? So the rule of thumb is this. You always want to select the most complex symbol first, followed by the second one, and the least complex symbol. The reason why is because sometimes they reuse, the architect or the engineer will actually reuse the same symbol to draw the rest of the elements. Right, so let's say for example, if I select this one, but then it will already auto-identify this part as item number 2, which we don't want that to happen. That's why we always need to select the most complex one first, all the way down to the most basic one. Alright? So, just now what we did over there was actually for much more complex CAD file drawings, right? But what if it's a scanned PDF, right? What if it is a scanned PDF? Our software can actually allow you to scan a device as well. So how do you actually do that? Let's import in a scan drawing. Let's see how it actually works, right? Scan drawing example. I'm going to import this drawing in. Open that up. Alright, let's say if I have a scan drawing over here. Now, I want to pick one of the legend. Right, let's say this legend over here. Right, so I'm going to go into my electrical fixtures. I'm going to go into my switch and sockets. And let's say if I pick my 1 phase, 2 and 3 hole socket. Now, I'm going to work on this one. So how to actually click on this button is by selecting this scan device. So after that, first thing first, you need to pick the device, which is this part over here. So you can actually use a square box line or you can use a polyline. So in this case, I want to be using a polyline, right? So polyline, you can find it at the bottom over here. Polyline means you can actually draw the shape around. You can actually draw the shape around so that it revolves around this symbol only and nothing else. Right? It doesn't matter how the shape looks like as long as you cover it. Right? So you can pick a device, press on the polyline here, and then you can actually choose around it again. For example, here, 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 here. Right? So once you have done that, now you have this shape over here. Then you just right click, and then you can see the symbol over here. And next is, you need to pick the text first. Right? This time I'm not going to use polyline, I'm going to maintain it as a square function. Right? So you can just select entirely, right click. Now we need to select onto the legend and make sure that this legend, we can actually erase those items or the parts that we don't actually need so it can be as accurate as possible. Like for example, this part here. I can actually erase this part over here. I can also erase this part over here and then just press OK. Right, same thing to the word. I can just erase this part over here and just press OK. So once I've done that already, make sure that you, this is the desired match similarity. Like we don't want to put it too high, we don't want to put it too low. 60 is just nice to identify your scan drawings. Because if you put anything higher than 60%, a lot of things cannot be identified. But if you put anything less than 60%, a lot of the things can be identified, but it's not what you want. So you can just click on Find All. Give it a moment. It takes some time because it's identifying your drawing. So once we have done that, you can see that you have all the buttons over here that you can click on, and it will bring you directly to the location. Right? And the best part about this is that it actually shows you how accurate it is. You have 90% to 100% icon over here that's similar to what you have picked earlier on. You also have 90, 80%. You have 80 to 70%. Again, you can just click on them and they can bring you to the location. Right? So you can actually click like that. Once you have confirmed everything, then just press Identify. So in total, now we know that we have 31 devices. Right? Just press OK. And then you can see all the devices over here. So this is how you actually work on a scan file. It's very simple, it's not that hard. So all this will be repetitively done for the rest of the elements as well. Right? Again, we need to identify legends. If there is no label, it works as well. But if it has a legend or a text, right, you can actually use device plus text. You can identify the device, then you can identify the text as well. All right, so let's move into the next one, which is the manual measurement, which is very easy, right? Why do I say it's very easy? Because basically you just, let's say if this is my item here that I want to point it at, right? So all I need to do is just click on my socket here. Right? Let's say I want to select this as my item. Or you can actually create your own switch and socket. So I'm going to create your own socket, my own socket. Right? For example, right, you can have your specifications keyed inside here, elevations and all those information to your liking based on your drawings, of course. Right? Then you can use the point function. You can just click point, and you can just put it, you can just point it where the location of this drawing actually is, for example here, right? Then, which means that you actually have one, right? You can actually point it anywhere else from the drawing. It doesn't matter. Let's say if this is your other drawings over here. Right, let's make it brighter. For example, if I have a bathtub, I can just go to my sanitary ware, create bathtub, and then you can click point, and you can just put it over there. Oh, you can change the display. Bathtub, point it, and then you can put it over there. Oops. You can actually change the model if you have. Let's see. Let's say this is my bathtub. Just press OK. Then you can just point it over there. Right? If you don't know whether you have captured it or not, you can just reduce color and you can see that there is a bathtub over there. So manually, it's just pointing it one by one. For example, if you have this floor-mounted wash basin, also same thing. You can just point it around. You point it around here, here, anywhere you want. Right? So this is for manually pointing. So just now I already showed you how to actually check your identified or your pointed elements, which is by reducing the brightness. But you can try to play around with that so later. Now, this is another very special thing that I need to further elaborate. Here, we have two items that you need to understand inside the attributes, right? So the attributes is actually what you see over here. Whatever you key in, for example, a name, type, specification, you got elevation, system, summary info, multiplier, remarks, other colors and information, right? So what's important here is this. We have two different items. Those that are labeled in blue is called public item. Labeled in black is called private item. So the differences between these two is that under public item, if you change the information inside, all the entities that you have drawn will follow this public information that you have changed. So for example, if I draw outside here for you to see, I draw a few bathtub. Okay, if I change a few of the information by change the name to bathtub 1, I change it to bathtub 1. The rest of the bathtub will all change to, oh, sorry. If I change the tag to all mounted wash basin, everything that I've changed will follow become wall mounted wash basin. Can you see that? Even if I've just selected the 4, everything will become wall mounted wash basin. However, if I change only the black label items, for example, my display pattern, the color, right? Let's say if I change the color only, let's say I change a few of the items here, I change it to yellow. You can see that only these few items that I've selected changes to yellow. So that's the difference between using public and private. Public means you're changing entirely. Private means you're only changing specifically to that item. So just now we did identify, we did scan device. So let's do a 10-minute exercise here. First, you need to identify your device, scan device, point device manually, and then check identify quantities, which is adjusting the brightness and everything. Now, everyone give it a try. If you have any problems, you can put inside the chat box, let me know, and I will get to you. I'll show you how to do it again. Right? We will do until 11:05. Feel free to put inside the chat box. Any part that you cannot do, please let us know. Right? So if there is no question, everyone's all good. We're going to move into the next item, which is length quantification. So just now what we did was enumerated items. Now let's go into linear items, right? So the process of doing linear items is draw, identify, vertical, and display settings, right? We have 4 steps over here. So for draw is manually using line or 3-point up to work around your drawings. For identify, we have four types of functions which you can use to identify your lines: single line, double line, type accessories, and add up things. For the third one is verticalizer, right? So for example, your pipes, you also have vertical pipes. So you need to play around with your verticalizer. And the last one is to check your floor display or your entity display. So let's move into it specifically. Now, for identify, we have the 3 functions which you can use: single line, double line, cable tray, right? But it depends on your drawing, what kind of drawing you receive. If you have single line drawings, right, you can use single line function. But let's say if you have double line drawings, for example, your piping shows double line, you can also use double line to draw them. Or if you have cable tray wiring, you can also use this function, cable tray wiring, to work around it. And then the next one is manual. Similar to our point function just now, we have one identify, and another one which is very manual to draw it. For example, using line or 3-point up to actually draw your pipings or your cable tray or any elements that is linear, right? So these are the things that can be used and cannot be used inside elements. For plumbing and sanitary pipes, you can use single line or double line. For electrical items under conduit, you can use single line cable tray wiring. But for cable tray and trunking, you cannot use any of the identify function. You need to draw it manually using line or 3-point up, which is capable for all the rest of the elements. Right? Even for electric wire and cable can actually use single line or cable tray wiring. For bus bar, you need to use line or 3-point up as well. Air duct and pipe can actually function together with single line or double line. So later when we go into detail, you can actually see how it works out. Right? Now, how to actually draw length entities manually. So I'm going to show you how to actually work around it manually. We're going to open back the plumbing and sanitary drawing just now. So let's say if I want to draw a pipe here, or I want to draw a pipe over here. If you're using single line, you can actually use this function. Go to your pipes first under plumbing and sanitary. And let's say if we are looking to 32 mm diameter, we can create one 32 mm diameter. So what we're going to do right now is we need to identify this line here. So considerably, you can see that it says that it shows that this is a single line. So what we're going to do right here is that we are actually going to use single line. Right, we're going to click on single line and just select over here, and you can see that the single line has been formed, or here, or here. And at the same time also you can see how it actually bends to the next pipe. Right, so this is how it actually works. Single line. Let's try another pipe. For example, this pipe over here. We can also click on single line. Let's see what's diameter. 40 mm diameter. So we're going to click on 40 mm. single line, click on the pipes here. Right, so you can actually click like that to do it manually. So what about 3-point arc? 3-point arc is actually for curve length entities, right? Let me show you. Although I know that this is not supposed to be curved, right? It's not supposed to be curved, but I'm just going to show you how it actually works if it is curved. We're going to click 3-point arc over here. Just now what we used was line. So now we're going to use 3-point arc. Just click on 3-point arc. Press on this button over here. Select the next middle point of the curve, which is the top part. And then you just need to draw at the end point of the arc. Left click, right click, and there you go. You actually have an arc shape, but it's not supposed to look like that. Just to show you that you can actually draw an arc shape pipe. Right? So now when we use single line or single line over here, you can actually just directly draw. Right? You can directly draw your pipes manually like that. At the same time, you can actually adjust the elevation over here if you need to, but let's just do it directly flat from that. Right? So what we did here is that, let's say if I were to use line to draw, I'm going to start from here until the end here. And then maybe this part I'm supposed to have a riser, right? I'm supposed to have a vertical pipe going up to the next floor. So what I can do is I can manually just point riser over here. So once I've done that, you can view in 3D, you can see that the riser goes up until the next floor. Right? So in just a very short time, we have covered how to actually use single line, how to use line, how to use 3-point up, and how to use riser. Basically, you're just pointing riser onto your pipes and it will actually generate all these fittings for you as well. You see that? So just now what we did also was that we identify single line. Right? You can just click on the line, make sure you select the correct diameter, right? Make sure you select the correct diameter before you click on the line. And we also did vertical riser, vertical piping. You click on the riser here, make sure that it's the selected pipe that you want. But if you forget how to do it, you can always refer back to the slides, it will show you how to do it. Right? So you can actually connect your vertical length entity to your machineries. For example, or your sanitary fittings. For example, let's say if I draw my line here, okay, I'm going to draw it manually from here to here, here, into here, and then go straight into my fittings. Right, you can actually connect this pipe to device. You can connect this pipe to my basin. Connect pipe to device. You can actually connect the pipe to the device. So you will actually detect once it touches the pipe. For example, let me show you if I draw it again. Right, if I draw it again, you can see that it automatically generates the vertical pipe once it touches the device. Right, or you can also use this function, pipe to device. If I delete this, you can click on the button pipe to device, select this two, and you actually generate like that automatically. Right, so for display setting, it's very easy. Now, sometimes you have multiple things inside your drawing, right? I'm going to turn this off. For example, sometimes you don't want to see all these enumerated items. You just want to see your pipelines, right? You can actually hide items that you don't need to see by clicking on the display settings. And then for display settings, you can actually turn off the entities that you don't want to see. For example, like sanitary wares. I'm just going to select it and you see that it disappears from the work plane. If you want it, then just turn it on and off, right? Even for the floor display also, you can choose what kind of floors that you want to see. But now you're in your current floor, you can also open up all floors. You can open up custom floor, which you want to select which floor you want to see, right? But most of the time you want to leave it at current floor because we're working on the current floor, right? So don't confuse yourself. Now, sometimes there are certain things that you need to take note of. For example, if you have, because the problem is that if you have few different floors and few different pipings, for example, if I work on my second floor as well, let me draw some piping over here. Go to my third floor, just to show you an example, right? Okay, when I view in 3D, currently I'm in my third floor. When I click on all floors, you can see that I have different piping from different floors as well. So you will see that all this information, I want to be clicking it, right? So what you need to do is, you need to make sure that this is actually turned on. Edit cross-floor entity, show cross-floor entity, right? So you need to head into your project settings, options, and go to others and turn this on, right? Go to project settings, options, and then after that, you need to turn it on. Once it's on, then you can edit different floors. Otherwise, if it is off, you can only edit your current floor. You can only select on the current floor and not other floors, right? So make sure you turn this on. So up to this stage, are you guys okay? Do you guys have any questions for line identification? Because basically for all the linear items, it's the repeated steps. Because after this, we're going to do a little bit on the quantification, then we're going to go directly into trades already. Any questions so far? No questions, huh? Because later we're going to go into trades. Actually, you're going to be repeating steps over and over again. So let us use this time, 10 minutes, to actually draw your linear items first, right? You need to draw line, identify line, arrange vertical line, cross-floor entity display, which we did just now, the one that I show you in options. And then the last one is to hide or show entity, right? The one that we also did. Hide and show entity over here. Right, let's take a 10 minutes exercise. We will do until 11:28. Once you're done, then we move into trades already. Quantification, then trades. All right, if you have any questions, you can put inside the chat box. Get the draw line and identify line, arrange vertical line, cross-floor entity display, hide and show entity functions, right? If you still cannot get it right, don't worry, you can let us know, right? Let us know and we will try to teach you how to actually work around it, right? Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next item, which is quantification. We got not much left. The rest is the repetitive traits, right? Which we'll go through later. Now, for quantification, it's very straightforward. We only have two things to check: calculations and also quantity, right? To do calculation, basically you can actually go into your quantity function or the ribbon, and then click on calculation. Then after that, you will prompt this item over here. Then you just press on calculate, or you can like quickly just press F9 to calculate the entire model. Right? Most of the time, if you're familiar with the software, you just click on F9. So let me show you how to do that. So let's say if I already have some quantities over here, right? I've already done some quantification. So all I'm gonna do is you can either go into your quantity and press calculation, or you can just press F9 on your keyboard. And then this will actually call. So I'm going to select all my floors and press calculate. Once done, it will actually tell you that the calculation has already been completed. And then the next thing you can do is you can go and select view quantity by category. So to view quantity by category is very easy. You can click on quantity again and just press view quantity by category, which is right beside the calculation button. Right. So how I'm going to do that is we're just going to go into TME, go into quantity, select view quantity by category. And then from there, you can see that you actually have some quantities over here. Right? You can choose your trades. You can choose whether it's electrical, or you want to choose back your plumbing and sanitary. What is the item that you want to check within this plumbing and sanitary here? Pipe fittings, pipes, or sanitary wares. Right? You can choose which one you want to actually see. And then those quantities that you see over here, right? You can actually just double click on it, and it will actually bring you to the location of the quantity. For example, if I want to click on 76, it will actually bring me to the ID here. 77, it will bring me to the other ID here, right? Or you can also set classification. So what do I mean by set classification is this. Let's say if I don't want to see floors, I don't want to differentiate between floors, right? I can just press set classification and quantity. And I can just turn off floors. Once I've done that, it will actually shut off floors, and then you can only see the name and what kind of pipe is this. So that's how we usually do our adjustment, which is everything parked under set classification, right? Not just that, let's say if we are working on some other items, for example, sanitary ware, right? And then maybe electrical. Let's say plumbing and sanitary ware, it will be better. Fittings. Okay. Let's say if I want my 90% elbow, this type over here, to be shift forward so that I can categorize it separately for 90%, 90-degree elbow, what I can do is click on set classification. Under types, just select the type here, just click on it, left click on it. You can press move up, all the way up above the floor. Right? Then you can just press OK. And then you can see that it will actually summarize based on 90-degree elbow. Doesn't matter for which floor, but it will still summarize it 90-degree elbow. And it will also show you quantity number over here, which you can double click and you can search for it as well. Right? So this is for quantification. Generally, is that easy. Just now, this we also show you how to do reverse checking as well. So I think we don't need an exercise for this because it's actually that simple only. It's very short. So basically, the steps is to calculate, check your quantity, reversely check by double clicking onto your quantity number. so that will bring you to the exact location. And then that's just about it, right? So for quantification, it's very easy. All the traits is the same. You repeat the same process. Now, let's move on to the next item, which is region quantification. Actually, for region quantification, if you have used TS and TRB, is something like segmentation, or you actually just pull off different location of your pipes or your entities. You will split into different region, right? So what does that mean by different region is this? Let me show you. Let's say if I have two sections over here, let me draw a few more pipes. Let me draw a few more pipes. So I can show you the region better. Okay, for example, now I have two sections over here. Right, to actually use the region function, you can go to quantity. Under quantity, there's something called define region. Right, we can actually create a region and select this part here, for example. So now I rename this region into, let's say, zone A. Right, I can create another region over here, zone B. Change the color maybe to red. So now you can see I have zone A, zone B. Right, so this zone A and zone B, we have separate quantities inside, which can be viewed after calculating once. So once calculating already, then you can view quantity by category. Under your pipes here, set classification, you can turn on your region. Right, when you turn on your region already, you see that you actually split into zone A, zone B, and then you also have non-region, which means that there is no region, technically speaking. But to make it more simple for you, because if you split the zone at the back here, it's a bit hard to see, right? So I can actually shift this zone or this region up to the highest point, right? To the highest point, and then after that, just click OK. And then you can see that it splits the zone by zone. Right, you can see it splits zone by zone. So you get the quantity out separately for each zone. So technically, that's just about it for region. It's really that simple. If you are working on bedroom, you can do zone, bedroom 1, room 2, for example, or maybe if you want to use through contractor, you can say contractor A, contractor B. Depends on how you want to use this region function, right? It's technically for you to just do your own grouping. So if you forget how to use the steps, you can actually click define region over here, and then you can see inside the slides, you can actually teach you how to work around it. Now, assuming that once you've created this zone already, maybe let's say you want to adjust the zone. How can you actually do that? Is by clicking on quantity zone here, the drop down list. There is this function called edit region. When you click on edit region, you can actually select which region you want to edit. Right? For example, I want to edit this region. I want to make it slightly wider. You can elongate it. Then you can choose another region. You can also elongate it. Doesn't matter. Right? You can do all these kind of things. This is the edit region that we spoke of just now. Now, so far, up to this stage, do you guys have any questions for quantification and region? I think it's very simple because quantification, you just need to click calculate and then you can view the quantity already. Whereas for region, you just need to draw an area surface to your model where you can actually split the quantities out. Any questions so far before we move into traits? No question, should be quite straightforward. Now, when we move into trades, we are going to involve multiple things, right? We're going to involve enumerated items. We are also going to involve linear items. So the first thing we want to deal with is plumbing and sanitary first, right? Now, under plumbing and sanitary, we have a few items that you need to understand, right? For sanitary and equipment, will be parked under device. For pipes, will be parked pipes and fittings. For pipes will be parked under line, single line or riser, and then the fittings will automatically be generated, which is very straightforward, right? So why we park sanitary equipment under device is because these items are actually enumerated and pipes are actually linear items, right? So let's take a look at how we can actually work around that. So in this particular drawing that we imported earlier on, we're going to learn all these items over here together, how to actually work on all these items, right? Now, to our training file. So, assuming that this is the training file that we're working on, and you want to be dealing with our pipes first. So we want to make sure that we draw our pipes nicely. For example, let's say if this one is 32, I want to make sure that I'm using 32 to draw it. But you can actually draw it this way using line. I prefer to use line, right? You can actually try to use line. Just draw it around. You can draw it this way. Draw it this way. Draw it this way. Right? So once we have done this already, then after that, the next thing we need to do is we can actually identify your sanitary wares. Right? So you can actually identify your sanitary wares. How you can actually do that? Oh, let me just delete the region first. We can just actually turn off the region. It's a bit hard to see. Okay, all right. So let's do our sanitary ware first. First thing first, I'm going to do my floor-mounted wash basin. Remember what we did earlier on just now? For the enumerated items, we can actually use device. Right, just click on device, highlight the items that you want to select, which is these items over here. Unselect those you don't need. Only choose those that you need. Right click, pick text, right click, and then find all. Right, so once you have done this already, you can click identify, and then you have 5 numbers. Right, you can see that you have 5 numbers over there. Okay, let me draw this part too. Okay, then after that, the next thing is I want to connect these items onto my what do you call it, my fittings. So what you can do is, I'm gonna click on my button over here. You go to pipes. You can either use riser to do it, or you can use this function called pipe to device. So you can click this pipe, this device, and the pipe. Then you will see that it actually creates a riser up. Right, same goes to this one. Select this one, right click, select this pipe, and you repeat the steps for other elements. But here we didn't draw the bathtub, so we are not able to use pipe device. So the point of this function is for you to connect these two pipes all the way up to the device, right? So once you have connected already, then you can also try to do your valves, right? You can also try to identify your valves. But the thing about valves is this: when you try to identify your valves, right, you need to make sure that if there is no pipes, your valves will not be created. That's why you need to lay all your pipes properly first. So in this case, let me lay it nicely first before I actually do the valves. So what's the size of this? Let me see. $40 mm. For example, I'm just going to draw these pipes over here. Now, we got some pipes ready, then we have some valves over here. All right. So you can actually identify the valves here. You can click on valve, similar to equipment or any kind of sanitary fittings. You can just press on valve. Make sure that you already have pipes drawn here before you do your valves. Then you can use device. You can pick your device, which is the valves over here. Right click, click on your text. Right click and then press find all. And then you can see over here that you actually have your valves created. Oops. Okay, now we have our valves created. Right, you need to make sure that the element is here already. You can create your valve element or flange, depending on what kind of elements are you trying to identify. Right, again, let me show you one more time. So let me delete this. Delete this valve over here. So what you need to do is make sure that you already have a valve element created. You can change to whatever information that you want, butterfly valve, cork valve, or you want to call it a check valve. Right? Let's say, for example, just a normal gate valve. If you're going to call it V1, for example. Then after that, you can change what kind of material it is, right? Stainless steel, maybe. Specification is up to you. If you have your own specification, you can key it in. What kind of connections and things like that. And after that, just pick device. Right click. And if you don't want to pick the text, it's fine. You can just click find all. And you press identify. You'll see that only one valve is created. They selected this part also. There's another valve down there, but because we did not draw the pipeline, so this valve has not been generated. Only this valve over here, as you can see, is generated. Right, I'm going to dim it a bit so you can see. At the bottom, it's not selected. By the top here, it's highlighted. So this is how you actually create your valves. So the next item that I want to walk you through is laying pipe sleeves. Right, you can actually create your own pipe sleeves. Right, you can go to others, under others, and then you can click new, and then you can create your sleeves. For pipe sleeves, you will need to lay it onto your pipes. Right, you can lay it outside also, but of course we don't want to do that. We're going to make sure that it's clamped onto our pipes. can actually lay it this way. Make sure that it's actually clamped on to our pipes. You can lay it this way and you can view it in 3D. Right, of course, we need to make sure that the size is correct. So in this case, the size is not correct. So I'm going to change that. Right, so it's supposed to look this way. So this is how you can actually create a pipe sleeve under others, new sleeve, and then click on point. And you can just stamp it onto your pipelines. Same thing, generate the BQ by calculating it. And then you can use region if you want to, but there's no need for that. So let me show you what happens when we calculate. Press F9, calculate everything. Once done, then you can view quantity by category. And then after that, over here, you can look for plumbing and sanitary, you have pipes, right? You got pipes, and then you have pipe sleeves as well. So you can just double click on the line here, and you can find the pipe sleeve that you have pointed. Right? So for items such as bath, equipment, and sanitary will be categorized as enumerated items. And after that, we have pipes, which is categorized as linear items. So that is just about it for your pipes and sanitary, plumbing and sanitary fittings. Up to this stage, do you guys have any questions? For plumbing and sanitary fittings. No question. Then we move on to the next item, which is ACMV. Now, ACMV is a bit special, a bit different compared to piping, right? So I'll show you how to actually work around ACMV. Now, inside ACMV, we have a few things that you need to understand. Right, we have equipment, for example, like air conditioning unit, or you got fan coil unit, right? After that, we have equipment, which is part under device. And then we have air duct, which is linear items that's part under ducting system, or line, single line, or riser, right? All these are measured in a linear quantity, right? But for AHU, FCU, and equipments are all measured enumerated. After that, we have duct fittings also, which is automatically generated. Then same goes to what you're gonna see for the pipes, right? The AC pipes and the pipes fitting is exactly the same as plumbing and sanitary. So I don't think I'll be going through that because it's repetitive. But for this, let's just go through this ACMV, right? It's very easy. Now, here, I think we're gonna open a new drawing, which is for ACMV. We're gonna open up ACMV drawing, ACMV example. All right, so let's just look at the drawing over here. So there are so many types of drawing, how to actually draw the ACMV and things like that, right? But we're gonna work on the equipment first. Let's just work on the equipment first. Now, let's say if we have a fan coil unit over here, FCU. So you can actually identify this item by going into identify. And then you have equipment over here, right? You have equipment. You can click on equipment. Then you can pick device. You can select this fan coil unit. Right click. Oops, I think I actually pick on the arrow. Cancel the arrow. Pick device. Remove this arrow. We don't want this here. Right? And once we are done, just right click. And then there is no system text. If there is system text, you can actually press this also. System text. This one will be the system text. Right click. And then press find all. And then it will show you all the machineries, right? Different system. And then you have another one here, down here. Right? So what you can do is same system. and then you can auto-identify. So it will automatically identify the same system that we have selected, which can be found over here. Right, the software will automatically detect for you the exact same system, and then you can try it for other elements as well. You can repeat the same steps. This fan coil unit over here. Right click, pick system text. This one will be my system text. Right click and then find all. Then you can select same system and press auto identify. Once done, then you can see that you have a few systems over here. Right? Can you see that? So you can actually select all of this system. Okay, let's pick another machinery, right? For example, if we have another system over here, right? Again, same thing. You can change the information. If you don't use fan coil, you can use ventilator, air conditioner, whichever that you're comfortable with. But let's use this device over here. Select this device. Right click, pick your system text. Right click, then press find all. And then you want to use the same system, auto identify. So in this case, we only have one which is same, the rest is all different. Right, so this is how you can actually play around with it. Right, now, once we're done with the equipment, let's just say we want to select a different item. For example, maybe you want to do your hair ducting. Right, so we're done with the linear items. I mean, we have done with the enumerated item, then we can go with our linear items, which is the air ducting. Air ducting, there are a few ways you can do it. You can manually create your air duct, like rectangular air duct, and then you can adjust the size based on what you see over here, maybe 1,750, and after that you have 500. You can manually draw it out. You can manually draw it out like that, which is, I don't think is too convenient. So when you manually draw it out and it touches an equipment, it will automatically generate a riser or a drop into the equipment depending on the height. Right? It depends on the height of the material that you created over here. If you don't want to do this manually, you can actually create it automatically. Right? So how to actually do that is by going into duct system identify. Right? So you can actually click on duct system identify. You can press on, you can read at the bottom here, left select air duct and label, right click to confirm. So I have my label, and this one is my air duct system. And just right click, and it will ask you to create your own ventilating system. Just press OK, and we'll automatically generate out this air duct system for you. Right, you can see over here, it will automatically generate this air duct system for you. But the problem is that when you generate this already, you can see that it doesn't reduce its, I mean, the size reduces, but there is no fittings for it to reduce. Right? So there is actually a very specific function which you can use to create this fittings function. There is a fittings function for you to press on. So let me walk you through how you can actually do that. So once you identify a duct system, maybe you do a few more, right? This duct system over here also, same thing. I'm going to create another one. Duct system, select these two lines, right click, press OK. So it creates the fitting, so I mean the ducting over here. And after that, the next thing is I want to identify fittings. Right, so I'm going to select air duct fitting identification. highlight all the air ducts over here, and then after that, right-click to generate fittings. Can you see that? So the software will generate fittings based on selecting the air ducts. So for example, here also same thing. Select it, and then click, and then right-click on it, and then it will automatically generate fittings. Okay, let me show you how to do it. Let's say if you don't have anything over here, turn off the drawings first. You can actually click on air duct fittings, select everything, then just right-click. In the event that you have not drawn your machineries or you did not draw all the way to the edge, or it does not have you do not have a machinery over there, but you still want to create a riser, right? So what you can do is this. You can manually just create a riser, and then after that you can just point it over there. Right? It may look a bit weird, but you can actually just rotate it. Right? Rotate, just right click on it, rotate. And then it will look normal. Right? So if it is not as per the horizontal shape that you want, you can actually rotate it by right clicking on it, press rotate, and you can just twist it, following the drawing or whichever way you want, and you actually rotate accordingly. So if you want it to, hello, can you hear? Are you guys able to hear me? Okay, now can. All right, let's repeat again. So in the event that if the shape goes like that, don't worry, because you can actually rotate it, right? You can just select onto this ducting, right click, and then there's a rotate button over there which you can click on, and you can just select the center point and just rotate it, following your drawing or whichever reference that you have, and then it will automatically rotate, right? Okay, so far so good. Just another thing. For example, if it's not connected to your device, right? If it is not connected to your device, you can actually click this, type to device, select your device, and then select your ducting, and then it will automatically generate based on the shape, right? Undo again, let me show you. Let's say if you have a device over here, you can see there is a device over here. What you can do is you can click type to device, select the device, right click, and then select your ducting, and it will automatically generate. It will automatically extend and then after that punch down, right? Okay, so that is for air duct. Now, let's say if you have air grills. Let's look and see if we have air grills. Do we have air grills? Right, we have air grills over here. Let's see if we have any other air grills. No, we don't have any other air grills. Okay, air grills and equipment is exactly the same. You repeat the steps over and over again. Just press device, pick device, select it, right click, find all. Then after that, it will select all the device for you. Right, you can see it selects all the device for you. And then you can just identify. Oops. Yep. For air grill, you need to have ducting. I forgot already. You need to have ducting. Let me create the ducting first. Ducting system. Let me combine. Okay, now we can have our air grills. Right click, find all, and after that, just identify. I think that's not air grill. This one. Okay. Right click, find all. Okay. I forgot to create my air grill. I'm so sorry. Once you create already, then you can find it, right? Once you create, then you can identify. I forgot to create. So if you want to do air grill, you need to make sure that you create your element first. Once you create already, then you can identify your device, right? Same goes to this one. We already create AG1, and this one also you can create AG2, another air grill, right? A different kind of air grill. And then you can just press device, repeat the same steps, and press find all, and identify. So you can see that it is automatically generated over there. So it is all repeated on the steps, for example, like air damper, equipment, all the enumerated items, right, is all device or scan device. Either one that I've taught you earlier on. It's just that the ducting is a bit different only because ducting you need to have all these fittings and you need to use this air duct fitting identification. Other than that, it's just about it for ducting, right? Or you can just manually just create like that. Like just now I show you there is a manual way to do it. You can create new rectangular air duct, create the size 250 mm times 250 mm. 250 times 250. Then you can just draw. You can use draw by left sideline as well if you want to. Stop here, and then you create another one. 150 mm. And then you repeat the same steps. And then you repeat the same steps. And then after that, you just highlight them. Just highlight them to generate the fittings in between. So that it will look like that. Right, so these are the things that you need to remember. The steps is repetitive. It's either line, riser, 3-point, ducting system identify, air duct fitting identification, and then you have equipment, which is part under equipment or device. Either one, it's the same. But for equipment, you can just use equipment. For device, you can just use device. Equipment usually we use for ACU or FCU type of unit, right? And if your drawings are all scanned, then you need to use scan device. Repetitively is the same. So up to this stage for ACME, do you guys have any question? I'm not going to show the AC pipes because it's a repetitive. Air dampers also the same, repetitive. Any questions so far from anyone? Are you guys able to follow? Okay, if you're not able to follow, please let me know so I can show you again, right? But if you guys are okay, then I'll proceed to the last item, which is electrical walkthrough. Now, electrical is the fastest one to complete compared to pipes and what do you call it? Compared to pipes and also the ACMV, because ACMV and pipes, they have very special function. But for electrical walkthrough, it's just these few items, right? So for lighting fixtures, switch and socket, distribution box, equipment, we all use device because it's enumerated. It's the same exact function. So I'm going to pick one to use, and let's just do distribution box later. And then after that, we need to use cable or wire. Then after that, you got cable tray also, right? So for cable tray, you need to manually draw the lights, right? So let me go through with you on the electricals. Let's import the electrical drawing inside. Okay, always don't forget to scale your drawing, because if you don't scale your drawing, it's going to be very small. Usually anything from PDF, it's 100% that you need to scale. Alright, for electricals, it's very straightforward. Let me turn off plumbing and sanitary and leave electrical on, right? For electrical, it's very straightforward. Lighting fixtures, switch and socket, distribution box. So I'm going to identify distribution box first. So just going to click on distribution box. We got one question here. To combine the model for many floor to separate quantity BOQ format, how can we import the quantity into the right place in Excel file? To combine the model for many floors. Model for what do you mean to combine model for many floors? Because the model, when you align the drawings already, it's going to be automatically combined into other floors already. So whenever you model the time, it's going to be on the same location. So when you generate the BOQ also, let's say if you generate the quantification also, if you generate a quantification, you're going to see this. First floor, third floor, they're going to be together. For layout plan and riser, for riser, let's say for example, I'll show you plumbing and sanitary pipes up riser, for example. If I were to create a riser, I create a riser over here. There is a few ways for you to do it, right? If I generate one riser over here, you can see when you generate the time, you can actually choose from which floor is this riser starting, right? So your bottom elevation means your starting location of your riser. So let's say if I want to start from my first floor bottom elevation, right? First floor bottom elevation, and I want it to stop at my fourth floor top elevation. If I do that, and I point it somewhere outside here, I just point it to show you here. And I view it in 3D, it's going to go all the way up until your fourth floor. Can you see that? So when I calculate this quantity out, when I calculate it out for all the floors, it's also going to be generated out in the report for you. It's going to be generated out inside the report for you. Can you see that? We got fourth floor pipes. We got third floor pipes, but here, vertical pipe. And then we got second floor vertical pipe. We got first floor vertical pipe. Can you see that, Nguyen? So inside the BOQ, you can always turn on these floors. So when you turn it on already, then you can see. But if you feel like this is a bit hard to see, right, you can also change it this way. I'm going to move this distinguish up. And then after that, I'm just going to press OK. And then you can see for vertical pipes, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And then when you export into Excel, you will be able to see these quantities separately. It will be exported out this way. Is that okay? Did I answer your question? Well, to do anything based on your BOQ format, you have to adjust inside your view quantity by category, set classification over here. So it depends on what is your priority. You can actually turn on and off all these items. Right, if there is no further question or any feedback from your side, I think I will proceed to our electrical. Okay, for electrical, it's actually quite straightforward. So for example, we're going to play a bit on the cable tray. We're going to insert some wires inside the cable tray. And we are going to put in this distribution box. Right, for distribution box, it's very easy. We repeat the same steps. I'm going to create a new distribution box. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is click on device. Pick device. I'm going to pick this device over here. Right click and then find all. You can see it will automatically generate all the device. And then click identify. And now you have 5 devices. Right, you have 5 devices. Well, you can actually adjust the height and then where is it actually sitting on. If you want it to be sitting on the floor, you want it hanging in the middle of the air, it's up to you, however you want it to be. Right, so now let's lay the cable tray. For cable tray, I'm just going to click on, let's say, wire conduit. I'm going to create my cable tray for my wire conduit. Right, once done that, I need to make sure that the size is correct. But here you can see it's 200 mm cable tray. So I'm going to assume it's 200 times 200 mm. Although I know it's not that deep, but and we're just going to use default since we don't know. Right? So for this cable tray, you're going to click line. And then you can use draw by side, left side, which is going to make it easier for you. Then you can draw your cable tray this way. And then you can turn on orthogonal. Orthogonal is to actually turn it into a ruler, so it doesn't like swing around. It's always 90 degrees or perpendicular. If you turn it off, it will actually like swing it around and you can press it. Right? So I'm going to use orthogonal so that it's actually straight. And after that, I'm just going to point it here and continue it here. And then repeat the steps over and over again. Just an example. So I can actually extend also. Or I can do it this way. Okay, so let's say, for example, I already have my cable tray over here. You can see that it will automatically attach itself to the distribution box. Right, it will automatically attach itself to the distribution box. So you don't have to purposely create a riser because the software does that itself. Right? Now, once you have done that, you can actually insert your cable, your wire conduit inside. Right? So let's say I want to insert my cable. I'm going to create an electric wire. And then after that, you can draw it manually. You can draw it single line. But then you don't have to do that. You can just press cable tray wiring. And then you can select your starting point. Let's say I'm going to start from here. And then I'm going to aim here. Oops. I'm going to start from here. And then I'm going to aim here. And then right click. And the software will automatically generate the cable wiring. You can see that there is a cable going through that. Right? So if you want to see, you can actually show the selected entity. So you can just see the cable only if you want to. right? It will actually show you the cable only. Again, just click on cable tray wiring, press here, and after that, just adjust it this way. And then you will redirect it automatically all the way until to the next distribution box that we have selected just now. And then you just repeat the step for other cable trays. For example, I didn't select the cable tray over here, so there is no connection between these cable trays, right? So practically, that's just about it. I'm not going to show the rest because everything is like the same. Basically, for example, like electrical equipment or either this switch and socket is the same. Just now we already show you how to do this socket, but that is for PDF. It's repeated. So again, for cable and wiring, right, there is no way for you to auto-identify. You need to manually draw this cable tray, right? Cable tray, you need to use line to draw. Or if you have riser, you want to manually draw it up, also can. It's up to you, right? You can just point it. For example, let's say I want to point it here. Cable tray, riser, I can just point it here. And you will automatically generate a cable tray. Of course, just now when we generate the time, it shows this where you want to start from level 1 until level 4, which elevation you want to start and which elevation you want in. You can actually change it over here, right? So up to this stage, any questions for electricals? Because electrical is just a repetitive only. We're going to use, whatever we did, we use the default specification, which can be changed. So up to this stage, do you guys have any question? What if there's two different size of cable tray and it is double layer? So you mean it's one above another? Is that right? Okay, if it is one above another, you don't have to worry, because when you are drawing your cable tray, let's say if this is my cable tray, right, and then you have two layers of the same type of cable tray, you can actually, let's say, add another 300 mm above the cable tray, for example. Let's say I add another 300 mm, and then I can just draw on the same location also. Don't have to worry that it overlaps or anything. Right? You can just draw it this way. And they can view in 3D. Oops. And you can see that there is double layer. It's alright to have double layer, and your riser, this one you can actually just increase. You can see that there is an elevation over here. So you can just increase it to 2.2 instead of 1.9. Sorry, yeah, plus another 0.3, right? And you actually connect with each other. So you can actually do this double layer. And maybe you have this connection, you can delete it also, don't need to have it, so you become double layer like that. Here also same thing, you can just delete it, and it will be double layer. Does that help, Sophia? You just need to know how to play around with the elevation. Let's say if you want it like 300 mm above, you just add a 0.3 on the start top elevation and also the end top elevation. Yeah, you can change the size. Okay, let's say for example, this one you want to change the size. You don't want to use back 200 times 200, right? Instead of changing the size straight away, because this one is a public attribute, I need to change the name first. Maybe I change to tray 2. Right, let me change it to tray 2 first. I'm going to change this to tray 2. And maybe the size is slightly bigger, 300 width. So you can do that. You can see that the size is 300 mm bigger. All right. So that should be just about it. Even not just this, if you want to have 3, 4, 5, 10 layers above each other also can. That's not a problem. You just need to know how to adjust the elevation. So, anyone else has any other questions? No questions? Okay, no questions, then I will actually leave a quiz link for you because you need to actually complete the quiz to get a certificate. Right, so the quiz will be out under, I will send it inside the chat box over here. You need to complete the quiz link and we will generate a certificate based on those who have already filled the quiz. Really? Don't have any other questions? If no questions, that's pretty much just about it. We don't have anything else on the hand already. We completed our cabling route already. That's pretty much just it. Actually, everything is repeated. It's always device, line, it's always these few items. Remember to do the quiz inside the chat box. And that's just about it. Thank you everyone for attending today's training. It's been a pleasure being able to teach you all here today. If you have any other questions, you can put inside the chat box. I think we need to arrange quantity, takeoff, follow BOQ template Excel to present quantity to client. Yeah, you can you can actually try, maybe you can show me BOQ, how you want to present it, then maybe I can roughly show you how to adjust based on your BOQ. You can drop me an email, or you can you can drop me an email. You can send it to this email. And then I will take a look at your BOQ and we see how we can go about it. Any other questions so far? If no questions, I guess that's just about it. Thank you everyone. Have a very nice day today. Thank you and bye-bye. It's a short one, but a very productive one, I guess. Thank you everyone for coming, attending our training today. Have a very nice day. If there's anything, you can always email me. Lucian will be able to assist as well. So you can always contact us. See you. Bye-bye.